Hi, good morning. My name's Lee. I'm one of the chef lecturers here at Truro and Penwith College. We're going to do another little bit of butchery. This is restaurant butchery, not as in a butcher's, but we were going to prepare this time a basic rack of lamb. We've got this lovely best end from our local butcher's, Brian Everington, who supplies all our meats. So lovely and fresh. It's quite dry. There's no smell to it, so we know it's decent quality. We've been very lucky, they've started chining this for us. So they've cut through the spinal column, released all the ribs for us there. So the first stage is I'm just going to follow that down and finish cutting that spine off. So we're going to keep that, we'll roast it, some vegetables to make a lovely lamb stock out of it. So the next stage, at this end, you'll find there's a small amount of cartilage in there. That's the end of the shoulder blade. So I'm just going to remove that. It's not edible. It's not very pleasant. It makes trimming much more awkward. So a really top class piece of meat like this, you want to make sure it's prepared perfectly. So we remove that shoulder blade. So just in here, there's like a yellowy bit of sinew, commonly known as a paddywhack. So I'm just going to release that as well and remove it. It's really tough and elastic. So just get hold of it. There's only a small piece here, but you can't pull it, you can't tear it. Only just cut through. It's really not very pleasant to eat. That will just throw away. So I'm just going to trim this back end off a little bit, just to tidy things up as we're working. So we're going to come up to the bark along the top, or the skin. I've just made a little incision in there. And I'm going to use a nice clean tea towel. I'm just going to pull that off. We don't want to try to remove all of it. So grab a little bit and then we'll just pull again. You can hear it tearing off. So we've got a little bit come away there. It's not a great deal. So we've taken the back off. So now we want to decide how long we want our ribs to, or the bone showing on our best end. This is up to personal preference. I'm probably going to cut the bone in half, so along the back, cutting through right down to the bone, and then we're just going to cut that off as close to the bone as I can. Again, that will roast off and go in our stock pot. So we've released a chunk of our bone. Now I'm just going to tidy that up in between the bone, following the side of the bone down to where we've cut through, straight across and back up, minding our fingers. Again, all these little trimmings are going to go into our stock pot, and we'd cook that down on a low heat for around 8 hours if possible, with some carrots, onions, a little bit of garlic, some bay leaves, black peppercorns, celery, and then just gently simmer away so we get all that flavour out. Then we'd strain all the bits of bone and everything out, and then reduce it to make a really nice deep lamb stock to accompany whatever Tony's going to make with this later on. So that's our bones trimmed out, a little bit more recognisable as a best end or rack now. So we're going to start thinking about our portioning. I would say we've got 2 portions here, so I'm going to cut that down along the bone. Now for presentation, odd numbers always look better, so I'm going to remove one of these bones. So along the back, I'm just following the edge of the bone, for the next stage is a bit more labour intensive, so it's pointless taking the sinew off the bone if we're just going to throw it away. So I'll remove one from this side too. We're very nearly there. So we have 2 3-bone best ends of lamb. If we were to roast this now, the bits of sinew on the bones there are liable to burn, go off colour, not look very presentable. So we're going to remove that sinew across all the bones. 2 basic ways to do this. Both of them, we start by cutting around the bone where we want it to finish. So just use a line of the meat. Use the edge of a knife and scrape it down. You'll find it all comes off quite nice and easily. You need quite a sturdy knife to do this. Then the clean tea towel that we used earlier, just polish it up. That's one way to go. The second way, again, we start off scoring all the way around. Then the very tip of our knife, we score the length of the bone all the way to the top. This is handy if you have a little bit of thumbnail. And then we just pull and peel that sinew off. This way is a little bit more tricky. You may need to do a little bit of scraping if it sticks as it has there. So I'm going to resort to the initial scraping method. So in the restaurant we do all of this in our prep time. So when we get a wrap of lamb on order, it's all there ready to go, and we just have to cook it off. Okay, this is the one of the best cuts of meat, hence the name of the best end. So we need to treat it carefully. You can put a crumb on the outside, season up however you wish. If the bone's a little bit brittle like that one, put it bone side down on the bench using a chef's knife at the heel. We'll just trim them up, and then I'll go and pick up the bits of bone that have gone flying in a moment. So, a nice clean tea towel. We just polish up those bits of bone. If you find any extra pieces, scrape them down. Now we have a classic 3-bone best end of lamb. Okay, thank you very much.